Amazon has flatly denied any plans for accepting Bitcoin payments and said, notwithstanding our interest in the space, the speculation has ensued around our specific plans for cryptocurrencies is not true, an Amazon spokesperson told CoinDesk. So this came in relation to a thinly, as like paper thin as possibly sourced story from City AM, which is a London publication that Amazon was going to not only start accepting cryptocurrency payments this year, but also put out their own coin potentially next year. Amazon has flatly denied that. And I think what was interesting is, Zach, you kind of went with this at the angle of, this didn't really help the market. Why are we talking about the market being based on this? But Bitcoin's price did start to fall upon these denials coming out. So I was a bit surprised by that. I thought that we had maybe moved past this sort of pure reactionary aspect, but alas, maybe not. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this.
Why would you think that, Ben?
Adorable, Ben.
It was optimism, hope. Yeah. Why hope? It's the hope that kills you.
It is really interesting. On a day in which some major news came out about Tether, Amazon rumors were really what was driving the market yesterday in Bitcoin's price. So yeah, it was interesting to see that price fall off after this was batted down. But yeah, can we just talk about how cool that photo of Jeff Bezos was? Because that was a good, inspired photo selection. But yeah, no, I mean, such is the wild world of crypto market sentiment sometimes. It doesn't necessarily need to be rooted in fact to move markets. And I think we saw a good example of that with this episode. Whether or not this was an elaborate hoax perpetrated by crypto influencers against unsuspecting reporters, we still don't know. But now we have a pretty strong denial from the company itself saying, hey, pump the brakes, you guys are crazy. So yeah, interesting to watch it. Interesting to watch that happen yesterday. Naomi, I saw your hand up. Very curious for your thoughts.
I mean, it's interesting that they've flatly denied it and there's no chance, this is definitely not a true story, because we look at the news that came out last week where they're posting this job listing to hire a digital currency lead. And then they say, we're inspired by the innovation happening in the cryptocurrency space. We're exploring what this could look like on Amazon. We believe the future will be built on new technologies that enable modern, fast, and inexpensive payments, and hope to bring that future to Amazon customers as soon as possible. So this story comes out and says, yeah, they're going to be looking into this by the end of the year. And they're like, absolutely no way. Flatly deny that. Where would you ever get that idea? It's just absolutely crazy. So, I mean, there seems to be, it's very interesting that we've got kind of these two narratives out at the moment. About a couple of years ago when Whole Foods was bought by Amazon, they merged, I actually asked John Mackey, I said, when Bitcoin, John, like, when are you guys adding it? And his answer at the time was, we're going to be the last ones. We are going to be like Amazon, Whole Foods. This is going to be the last company that is going to adopt this. And I guess because it's just so big and incorporating something like that is just such a massive shift. This is a huge undertaking. So that's interesting. But obviously they are preparing. Seems that it's not going to happen this year, but it does seem that something is in the works there.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting in that context too, like, hiring up for a lead for like a, cryptocurrency just generally, and sort of, in that job post, they were talking about like developing the roadmap and sort of like project timelines and stuff. So they're seemingly very, very early on still in this like planning phase, if that's what they're starting to look for specifically for somebody to help carry out. And I think it's too worth pointing out that, Amazon passed over PayPal years ago. Like, they've not had a great record of trying to incorporate new payment mechanisms into their own company. Like, they tried to make, Amazon stores, which was the precursor to the marketplace, and that fell really flat, and they eventually shuttered it. So they don't have a great track record on payments in a lot of ways. So this could be just a much larger undertaking than something they've done in the past. And that could be the reason for maybe this protracted timeline that we're talking about. But Zach, to you.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something more boring like, stablecoin payments or something, right? Like, we're going to accept USDC payments for stuff, and it's easier than, setting up foreign entities and having local currencies and bank accounts all over the world as a global company. Let's just do it over crypto rails. And that could be very different than like, oh, Bitcoin, like, we're going all in on Bitcoin. And that was sort of like the sentiment over the weekend was like, Amazon's going in on Bitcoin. There's Amazon Bitcoin rumors. This is tight. Yeah, it should be interesting to see what the plans ultimately end up materializing into.